Hi there, tea people. Well, welcome. Today it's a very exciting day because I'm going to be drinking our first ever Modality Tea Club tea, which is this fabulous 2018 black tea from Yunnan province in China called Dian, which is just simply Chinese for black tea, or they call it red tea because of the red colour of the tea liquor. Tea from Yunnan province in South China, which is, as I've said before, the birthplace of tea and somewhere that is very close to my heart as a tea fan. So some of you have already received your tea, and thanks very much for the WhatsApp messages about people brewing up your tea. That's a fantastic. I want to see lots more of that kind of action. And some of you hopefully have received your tea today. It would have been hopefully passed to your practice managers to be distributed over the next couple of days. So without further ado, let's get drinking the Yunnan Black or Dianhong that you guys have got this month. So first of all, so I've already got some I've brewed earlier, but I'm just going to, let me see how hot this is. That's fairly hot. I'm going to get brewing steep number 2, and I'm doing this deliberately because I'm trying not to make this video go on as long as the other ones. Just a quick one today. So I thought if I've already brewed one, another one's brewing, then it means I'm not going to run over time quite so much. So look at this, it's fabulous colour. Look at that, you can see why the Chinese call it red tea, because it is this brilliant red colour. Your suggestions for what ridiculous paint colour you'd call that, whether that's a Victorian ruby or anything else you fancy. So cheers. And I kind of got a bit ahead of myself there, just wanted to gulp some of that beautiful golden stuff down, but it smells really caramelly, really sweet, and then on the palate there's more of that kind of caramelly type sweetness, but also a maltiness. And there is that kind of slight breadiness to it. Yeah, maybe a small amount of clove spice as well, but it's just really soothing, sweet, comforting, makes me feel good. And when I'm having a bad day or I've got a bit of a cold brewing, then brewing up some of this bad boy is what I normally reach for. So hope you enjoy and really enjoy this. Let me know what you think. So the second one's just brewing. Now Mandy's already kind of talked a bit about her experience of brewing the tea. So just to talk through what I've done today. So I did say 2 teaspoons on your packet. It's meant to be 3 grams. And it does depend rather on the size of your teaspoon and quite how generously you stack these actually quite big leaves. So I've got my kind of drug dealer scales here that I use for my tea brewing, and that's accurate to 0.1 of a gram. Costs about £12 from Amazon if you want to join me in being that scientific and geeky about drinking tea. And this is 3 grams here. So I'll just try and get the camera to focus on that. So there you go, that's 3 grams. So I'd actually scoop that back out having measured it, and it turned out to be more like 3 teaspoons. So sorry if I've misled you there. So 2 very generous teaspoons or 3 more average sized teaspoons. And I said 2.5 minutes for the first heap. So this has had 2 minutes of 3 grams and it's come out really nice. I think if you've got, if you're a bit less generous on your leaf and it's more 2 flat teaspoons, you probably want to push it to 3 minutes there for the first steep. And so Mandy found that her second steep at 5 minutes was a little bit too much, a bit stewed. So I thought, yeah, fair comment. Well, I'm brewing this now for 4 minutes, so we'll see how that comes out. I'm going to need another tea vessel in a second, aren't I? I wanted to talk a little bit about, well, what is this black tea from China? Because you might be saying, well, Nick, everyone knows that in China they drink green tea, and you're right. They do. Green tea is the most drunk tea in the world because there's so many people in China. And that traditionally was kind of how people have grown their tea. And so the idea of Chinese Chinese tea growers making black tea is relatively new, although and essentially it's been for the Western and the British market. So, but the original English breakfast brew is actually called Keeman, which is from, I think, Fujian province in more kind of central China. And so that was it was a black Chinese tea, but again made for the British market, and a lot of that was kind of transported by camel over through Mongolia and Russia to Europe, hence Russian caravan, which is a tea you might have heard of, which is a bit smoky because as they would have been sitting around the campfires in the Mongolian desert on their long journey in their caravan of camels, then the tea would have been smoked by all the campfires along the way. So that's a bit of tea history for you, and plenty more of those, I'm sure. But I just wanted to also address what was actually my my tea myth, which I kind of thought there's two kind of main types of tea varietals. So it's always the same plant, Camellia sinensis. And you know, there's camellia trees that you'll see in British gardens, but Camellia sinensis is this particular species that is the tea plant, and there's actually two main varietals, Camellia sinensis. Sinensis is a made-up Latin word which means Chinese, and Camellia sinensis assamica, which is the kind of Assam-based tea from the area of Assam in India, and so that was kind of discovered later. But then it's kind of turned out that actually a lot of the naturally occurring tea trees and tea bushes in Yunnan and South China are actually probably the same kind of broad varietal as the Assam tea tree in India. So the tea we're drinking is actually a Camellia sinensis assamica varietal, but it'll be a subtype which will be different to the subtypes in Indian tea like Assam, Ceylon tea from Sri Lanka obviously, and Darjeeling, which I'm sure you'll have heard of. I've actually got, just for comparison actually, a really lovely Assam tea that a good friend of mine, Jackie, got me. So I'm going to see if I can show this off for you here. So that's the Assam. It's a really high grade Assam. And I'll put next to it, here's our Chinese tea. So you can see actually, so it really doesn't work very well. There you go. Probably this, the Assam tea is a smaller tea leaf than our Yunnan Black or Dian Hong we're drinking. And that means that it's going to take a little bit longer to extract all the goodness and the tasty flavour from the tea. One kind of really important thing about whole leaf tea rather than kind of tea dust or crushed tea leaves is that the bitterness is drawn out much slower because of the integrity of the tea leaves. So it's one reason why you get these kind of sweeter flavoured teas. And another good reason to drink whole leaf. So I've totally forgotten to strain my second brew, which I told you that's why I put the timer on. And I had the timer on and I got too excited talking about tea. Not many people would say that. So we've got a second brew, which I'm sorry, Mandy, I've probably stewed a bit much for you here. Sorry, I didn't bring a second mug for the video, but here you go, got a little tea bowl to hand. And so cheers, here's the second brew. Yeah, and it's got more of the tannins. I can see why Mandy might have said that for her that's a bit overbrewed. So I probably need to keep experimenting too. But so maybe 4 minutes rather than 5 minutes if you've got a bit more leaf in there might be the right length of time. But the great thing is that everyone's different. What you like might be different to mine, and you're not right, I'm not right. It's just different ways of doing things. So experiment, see what you think. And make the tea that suits you best. So happy drinking and brewing fabulous tea. And so just to give you a sneak preview, so next month's tea, which I've already talked about previously, is going to be something very similar to this bad boy, and that is, if we can get it to focus, there you go, is a bull rolled oolong. So it's a partially oxidized tea, again a Chinese tea this occasion. We might do some Indian and Sri Lankan teas in the third month, just to give you a bit of a broader kind of exposure to fabulous teas. So I hope you enjoy, and I look forward to hearing how you find the Yunnan Black or Dian Hong tea. Cheers guys, bye bye.